I never thought I'd disappear without saying a word. But the day I walked in on my wife, Rachel, in bed with someone else, I felt something inside me snap. It wasn't rage. It wasn't sadness. It was silence. We'd been married for 6 years. No kids, yet. We'd just started trying. We had a house, 2 cars, and what I thought was a solid life together. She used to smile when I came home. She used to laugh at my bad jokes. We were high school sweethearts. Everyone thought we were goals. Until that Tuesday. I'd come home early. I had picked up flowers and her favorite pastries. It was her promotion day, she had just made senior manager. I was going to surprise her. But the real surprise was in our bedroom. Her. Him. My side of the bed. She screamed. He ran. I didn't say a word. I dropped the bag, walked back outside, got in my car, and drove away. No fights. No drama. I just vanished. And for years, I stayed gone. But she never stopped looking for me. And when she finally found me, she had no idea what she was about to walk into that I didn't go far at first. I slept in my car for a week, parked at a campground 2 hours away. I shut off my phone. Deleted my social media. Transferred what I could from our joint account and left the rest. Then I bought a one-way bus ticket west. Changed my name. Took construction jobs under the table. Lived in basements and motels. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want closure. I wanted distance, from everything. But pain has a strange way of following you. Especially when it's tied to memories you once called home. Some nights I'd dream of her crying and begging me to talk to her. Other nights I'd remember her laughing at something stupid I said. That contrast haunted me. Over time, I rebuilt. I met people who knew nothing about my past. I learned carpentry. Opened a small renovation company. And then I met someone else. Her name was Leah. She had a quiet strength about her, kind eyes, but sharp instincts. She didn't ask questions I didn't want to answer. With Leah, I found something I didn't believe I'd feel again, peace. We moved in together. Life finally felt calm. Steady. Until last spring. I got home one day, and Leah was standing in the kitchen, holding a letter. No envelope. Just a folded sheet of paper. She left this at the front desk, Leah said softly. Said her name was Rachel. I froze. The past I buried had just clawed its way to my front door. And I had no idea what she wanted, but something told me she was about to regret ever finding me. I took the letter with trembling hands. Leah didn't press me. She just watched, sensing something deep had been disturbed. I stepped outside onto the porch, sat down, and unfolded the paper. It was Rachel's handwriting. Sloppier than I remembered, rushed, maybe even desperate. I know I'm the last person you ever wanted to see again. I've searched for you for years, not because I expect forgiveness, I just need to talk to you. Please. Just once. I owe you that much. I need to tell you something face to face. I'm staying at the Ashbury Inn. Room 206. I'll be here until Friday. After that, I'll stop looking. There was no, I miss you. No, I love you. Just a strange urgency wrapped in guilt. I stared at the note for a long time. Why now? Leah stepped out beside me, gently placing a hand on my shoulder. You don't have to go, she said. But I did. Not for her. Not even for Rachel. I needed to face the wreckage I had walked away from, not to rebuild it, but to finally bury it properly. The next morning, I drove to the Ashbury Inn. A modest roadside hotel just outside the city. The kind of place people go when they don't want to be found, or when they've already lost everything. Room 206. I stood in front of the door for a full minute, heart racing. Then I knocked. It opened. And there she was. Rachel. But not the woman I remembered. She looked older, worn down, like life had been chewing on her and never gave her a break. Her eyes widened. "You came," she whispered. I didn't smile. I didn't speak. And when I stepped inside, I had no idea what she was about to confess. But it would change everything. Rachel closed the door behind me slowly, almost like she was afraid I might bolt. The room smelled like cheap perfume and old cigarettes. She gestured to a chair by the window, but I stayed standing. "I don't have a lot of time," I said coldly. "Say what you need to say." She nodded, swallowing hard. Her hands were trembling. "I know I don't deserve a second of your time. What I did. I still hate myself for it. And I know you don't want excuses." "Then don't give any," I snapped. That shut her up for a second. She took a deep breath. "I didn't come here to beg. I came to tell you the truth. The whole truth." I folded my arms, waiting. Rachel looked at the floor. "That guy, the one you saw me with. His name was Jared. He wasn't some fling. He was your best friend once. Before we got married." My stomach twisted. "Jared?" I blinked. "Jared from college?" She nodded. "It wasn't just once," she continued. "It started before we were even married. I ended it, or I thought I did. But I guess I didn't really want to. I was confused, and selfish, and stupid. You chose to betray me," I said sharply. "Don't dress it up." Rachel's voice cracked. "You're right. I did. And I lost everything. You, the house, my career. I ruined it all. And I never expected you to forgive me." I was already reaching for the door when she said it. "But that's not why I tracked you down." I paused. She whispered, "You have a daughter." The room went silent. My breath caught in my chest. She looked up at me with tear-filled eyes. "Her name is Ivy. She's 8. And she's yours." My world tilted. And in that moment, I didn't know whether to scream, cry, or walk out forever. That I stood there frozen, staring at her like she'd just spoken in a foreign language. "A daughter?" I finally said, the words dragging out of my throat like gravel. "You're telling me I have a daughter, and you waited 8 years to say something?" Rachel nodded, her lips trembling. "I didn't know how to reach you. After you vanished. I thought maybe you'd contact someone. But you didn't. You just erased yourself. Because you gave me no reason to stay." She flinched like I'd slapped her, but I didn't care. "You could have told me," I said, voice rising. "There's email. Letters. Lawyers. Anything. But you waited nearly a decade." "I was scared," she cried. "I didn't want to raise her in a courtroom. I didn't want to chase you down just to destroy whatever peace you'd built. I didn't even know if you'd want her. I thundered. "She's my blood. My child. And you robbed me of every moment I could have had with her." Tears ran freely down her cheeks. "You're right. I did. And I've lived with that guilt every day. But Ivy," she started asking about her dad. And I couldn't lie to her anymore. "She deserves to know who you are." I turned to the window, trying to catch my breath. My heart pounded like a war drum. A daughter. I had missed her first words, her first steps, her first everything. And this woman, this stranger I once loved, had kept that from me. "I don't want money," Rachel said quietly behind me. "I'm not here to ask for anything. I just wanted to tell you the truth. You can walk away if you want to. But if you want to meet her, I'll be at the park by the carousel at noon tomorrow. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. She whispered one more thing before I left the room: she has your eyes. I barely slept that night. My mind was a whirlwind of questions I couldn't answer. What did she look like? Did she hate me already? Would she even want to meet a man who vanished before she was born? Leah noticed I was distant. I told her the truth. All of it. To my surprise, she didn't get angry or jealous. She just took my hand and said, "If she's your daughter, you owe it to her to show up." And so, I did. The next day, just before noon, I drove to the park Rachel mentioned. It was the kind of place you'd expect on a postcard: tall oaks, sun-warmed benches, and a vintage carousel spinning slowly in the center, playing soft carnival music. I spotted Rachel sitting on a bench, her hands in her lap. Next to her was a little girl in a pale blue dress, dark curly hair bouncing as she leaned over to pet a pigeon. My breath caught. She looked like me. The shape of her jaw, the eyes, exactly how my mother used to describe mine when I was her age. Rachel saw me and gave a small nod. I walked slowly, heart thumping like a hammer. The little girl looked up at me as I approached. Her expression was curious, not afraid. She glanced at Rachel, then back at me. "Hi," she said cheerfully. "Are you the man with the sad eyes?" I blinked. "The what?" She giggled. "Mommy said if you came, you'd have sad eyes." I laughed, a raw, broken sound I hadn't made in years. "Yeah. I guess that's me. I'm Ivy," she announced proudly. "I'm 8.5. And I like ponies and puzzles. My voice cracked. I'm Daniel." Rachel quietly excused herself to get ice cream, giving us space. Ivy scooted closer on the bench. "You look like me," she said, tilting her head. "You look like someone very special," I replied, barely holding myself together. And in that moment, with her tiny hand brushing mine, I realized something: I hadn't lost everything. Not even close. That we sat on that bench for almost an hour. Ivy talked like she'd known me her whole life. No fear. No hesitation. Just pure, childlike honesty. She told me about her school, how she hated broccoli, and how she once put a crayon in a toaster because she wanted to see if it would come out rainbow-colored. It didn't. It melted everywhere. I laughed more in that hour than I had in years. When Rachel returned with ice cream, Ivy ran off to chase pigeons again, cone in hand, totally carefree. Rachel sat beside me, silent at first. "She's incredible," I murmured. "She is," Rachel said quietly. "She's had to grow up fast. No father figure. No steady home. Just me, juggling jobs and trying not to screw it all up." I looked at her, studying the lines on her face. She wasn't the woman I had left behind. She looked human now. Flawed. Tired. Real. "I'm not here to rewrite history, Rachel," I said slowly. "You broke something in me that day. Something I never thought could be repaired." "I know," she whispered. "But Ivy," I paused, watching the little girl spin in the grass. "She's not part of that wreckage. She's the one thing you got right." Rachel's eyes welled up. "So, what now?" That question sat between us like a fragile glass. "I don't know," I admitted. "I'm not going to storm in and take over her life. But I want to know her. I need to." Rachel nodded. "Then start slow. Be her friend. She doesn't have to know everything right away. But if she asks," I took a deep breath. "Then I'll tell her the truth. All of it." As we sat in silence, Ivy ran back toward us, cheeks flushed and smiling. "Can I come see your house sometime?" she asked, looking up at me. I looked at Rachel. She gave a soft, almost imperceptible nod. I turned back to Ivy and smiled. Yeah, kiddo. I'd like that. Over the next few weeks, Ivy and I saw each other often. We started small, short visits to the park, weekend pancakes, reading books at the library. I bought her a jigsaw puzzle with ponies on it, and she insisted we finish it together before she'd go home. We stayed up past midnight that night. Leah, for her part, welcomed Ivy without hesitation. She even taught her how to bake cookies, though Ivy managed to spill flour across half the kitchen. It was chaos, beautiful, joyful chaos. One evening, while Ivy was drawing unicorns on my living room floor, she looked up and asked, "Why didn't I meet you sooner?" My heart clenched. I set down the dish I was drying and crouched beside her. "That's a big question." She nodded like she already knew. "Mom said grown-ups mess things up sometimes. She said it wasn't your fault." I looked at her, those familiar eyes staring right through me. "She's right," I said gently. "Grown-ups do mess up. And sometimes, people get hurt. But I'm here now. And I'm not going anywhere." She smiled and hugged me so tight I thought my heart might give out. That night, after Rachel picked her up, I sat on the porch with Leah. "She's everything I never knew I needed," I whispered. Leah leaned against me. "Then don't waste it." But just when I thought the past had settled and we were starting fresh, Rachel called. Her voice was shaking. "Daniel. I think Jared knows you're back." I felt the blood drain from my face. "What do you mean he knows?" "He showed up at Ivy's school. Said he was her father." My jaw clenched. The betrayal I buried was about to rise again, but this time, it wasn't coming for me. It was coming for my daughter. That I was already grabbing my keys before Rachel finished her sentence. "What do you mean he said he's her father?" I barked, heading for the door. "He just showed up out of nowhere," Rachel said, panicked. "Ivy's teacher said he asked to see her. Claimed he had a legal right." "Did she see him?" "No. The school called me first, thank God." "But Daniel, he knows. He knows about her now." My mind raced. I hadn't seen Jared since that day, the day he wrecked everything. He was supposed to be my best friend, my brother in all but blood. And now he was circling back, for my child. I met Rachel at the police station. We filed a report, made sure Ivy's school had updated emergency contact forms and a block on any unauthorized pickup. Rachel was shaken, but she held it together for Ivy's sake. Later that night, I sat across from Rachel in her small kitchen while Ivy slept down the hall. "Why now?" I asked. "Why would he even care, after all these years?" Rachel stared at her tea. "Because I told him once that she might not be his." I was angry. I said things I shouldn't have. But I think deep down he always wondered. And now that he knows you're back, maybe he thinks she's the only way to control something again. My jaw tightened. He's not going to get near her. "I know," Rachel said. "But he's manipulative. You know that. He'll lie, twist facts, play the victim." "Well, let him try," I said. "I've changed since the last time he saw me." She looked up at me. "So have I." There was a long pause. "I want to fix what I broke," Rachel whispered. "Not for us. For her. She deserves a life without this poison." I nodded slowly. "Then let's give her one. Together." But in the shadows, Jared was already making moves. And what he did next would force me into a fight I never thought I'd face. That it didn't take long for Jared to make his move. A week later, Rachel received an official letter, a petition for paternity testing and joint custody. He was claiming Ivy was his child. It was a punch to the gut. I wanted to storm into his lawyer's office, flip a desk, and tell him he had no right. But Leah reminded me, calmly and firmly, this isn't about him. It's about protecting her. You don't win that fight with fists. She was right. We hired an attorney. Submitted Ivy's DNA alongside mine. The test came back 100% match. She was my daughter. Not Jared's. But he didn't back down. He filed a defamation claim, accused Rachel of parental alienation, claimed emotional damages. It was a circus. In court, he wore a suit like he owned the world. He spun stories, played the victim, painted me as a man who abandoned his responsibilities. Said Rachel was unstable. But none of it worked. Our attorney was solid. The judge was firm. And when Ivy's teacher, pediatrician, and even her therapist testified that Jared was a stranger and I had been actively present in her life since reappearing, it all collapsed for him. The final verdict? Full custody awarded to Rachel. Joint parenting rights granted to me. Restraining order against Jared. Outside the courtroom, I passed him in the hallway. He looked at me, older, angrier, and somehow smaller. You stole everything from me, he growled. No, I said quietly. You gave it away. He didn't respond. Just walked off into whatever hole he crawled out of. That weekend, Ivy came over for her first official overnight stay. We made pancakes. Watched movies. Built a pillow fort that took over the entire living room. At one point, she looked up at me with sleepy eyes and whispered, "I'm glad you came back." I kissed her forehead. Me too, sweetheart. The past had been brutal. Ugly. Unforgiving. But looking into my daughter's eyes, the same eyes Rachel once said she got from me, I realized something. I may have vanished once. But this time, I was never leaving again.